Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Blaze the Cat here, and I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games, aka Mario and Sonic at Vancouver Olympics for those of you who lived in Japan, specifically for the Nintendo DS, because we already tackled for the Wii version since 5 years ago. So, last time, we essentially did manage able to tackle for some more missions in Frostown, and as a result, we somehow claimed not 1, but 4 crystals to able to get rid of the ice wall, and along the way, we somehow managed able to recruit, not only with Luigi, but as well as Tails as well, to able to actually join in our team. And meanwhile, is about the fact that after we done with the next ice wall we did somehow manage to get rid of, we did somehow manage to able to beat the likes out of the forms of Eggman NECA, which appears to be the second rival we've somehow encountered with during the forms of in this version of the game. So relatively speaking, that was about the fact that we did somehow manage to compete against with Eggman NECA in Nordic combined. So usually because of, you know, ski jumping, launch hill, and cross country all in one particular event. So that makes it totally obvious. So, and also in addition to that, we also did manage to able to rescue one of those snow spirits, which appears to be Sparky, and as a result, that way we can able to transport into the next world we're able to actually dive into. That's what appears to be Sparkleton. And speaking of which, is that today for this video, is that we're going to be exploring around the forms of Sparkleton, which, if I can recall correctly, that is one of the first of the 3 Dream Islands we can able to actually explore in this particular version of the game. And as far as I'm aware though, it's about the fact that, as the name suggests, in regards to the forms of Dream Island, I think the majority of the events is going to take place is specifically dream events we can able to go into, which, yes, much like the first game, basically though the dream events are back, and relatively speaking, that was about the fact that we can able to actually do some familiar events, but with Mario and Sonic item related things. So, which you'll see why as soon as we're able to dive right into the first batch of those dream events. Well, mind you though, it's about the fact that, if I can recall correctly, is that much like the Wii version, I believe once you start the game off, you're able to actually get some of those dream events unlocked from the start, which I'll talk more about that in a later time. But for now, we actually come across into a maple tree. And every time if you do manage to find one of those maple trees around here somewhere, basically though, there's actually a piece of maple leaf. And in it does manage to contain one of the trivias you can able to actually look and read. So, pretty fascinating though, especially it does remind me like a similar vibes as when you're trying to purchase something on the Wii version on the shopping menu, where if you do manage to come across into a library, you can also try to able to actually look upon several facts on let's just say the majority of those facts and trivia are basically based off from the Olympic Winter Games instead of the summer ones, which I totally understand. Although as far as I'm aware though, the actual facts are basically based off from a very long time ago, all the way up to 2010, I'm pretty sure, when it comes to Vancouver. So, yeah, I guess that makes it pretty obvious for the sake of the forms of how the fact that we never actually well, you get the idea for that point. So, anyways, let's go ahead and switch over to Sonic quickly. So just to ensure for the fact that we will able to interact with the spring at some point, because it looks like about the fact that we need to figure out something first. So, anyways though, a few things I want to talk about is about the fact that, well, today's date, of course, here is the 11th of January today, in some cases in 2025 today, and so much so, we've only got about 5 more days left until Donkey Kong Country Returns HD was expected to be releasing until then. And before we get into more details about this though, be sure to able to ask that particular green shy guy here, just because we need to able to upgrade the ski parts into the forms of how the fact that we can able to now participate in one of those dream events, which as a result it appears to be involves around ski jumping, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, you see what I mean if we dive right into one of those missions in particular. So, and yes, every once in a while there's actually some of these warp teleporting things, and basically though you can able to actually warp transport into those previous locations you've already been into. However though, we've only come across into one of them in Frostown, at least as far as I'm aware, but eventually at some point in the later islands to come, we might able to come across into not 1, but 2 teleport pads, at least whenever we get onto the later worlds in the game. So either way, so it looks like that Luigi did somehow showed up, while at the same time, the Boo did somehow appears. So it may look like about the fact that Luigi might be a frightening character, just like the forms of how it does its sense in Luigi's Mansion. Or to be more accurate though, Luigi was pretty frightened by the forms of not only ghosts, but as well as boos as well. To be expected when it comes to character development in regards to the forms of how Luigi was terrified for the majority of the ghosts, ever since in, you know, Luigi's Mansion, and before Luigi's Mansion 2, as well as before Luigi's Mansion 3 during that time. So, and it looks like one of the boos has stolen the key, which, by the way, in order to able to actually access to some more progression, every once in a while though, there's going to be some mini games we can able to get into, such as for instance in this one right here, we need to collect 4 of these batteries, while at the same time try to avoid these boos, because otherwise though, if I can recall correctly, if you get hit by a boo, I believe you lose one of your batteries, I'm pretty sure. But if you catch the key, like so, that means we can now able to progress. And relatively speaking of what I can tell, we might able to actually get another one of those parts, or specifically one of those important gear items. So, but yeah, nothing else to ask, especially concerning for the fact that for the most part, some mini games are pretty easy to manage, but there are some of them does manage to encourage you to able to do a lot of memorization, and it does have different control schemes, much like the forms of the main events themselves. So, anyway, so in this particular treasure chest here, we actually got ourselves a snow machine. So, or to be more specifically than that, with a snowball machine kind of thing. So yeah, that's actually pretty swell. I get the feeling about the fact that one of those dream events is going to be pretty unique into this version of the game. But here's the thing though, is about the fact that yes, as I mentioned this before, about the fact that much like the Wii version of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games, whenever you start the game off, basically though you get yourself some of those dream events already unlocked from the start. Like for instance though, on the Wii version, obviously you do have let's just say Dream Ski Cross alongside with Dream Snowboard Cross to start things off, and meanwhile on the DS version you're able to actually have 3 dream events already unlocked from the start if you managed able to first time playing through the game, ranging from let's just say Ski Cross Racing, which appears to be one of those dream events, as well as the forms of Ultimate Figure Skating, which is also another one of those dream events. And on top of all that stuff though, there's also the one with the involves around Snowboard Cross, at least as far as I can recall. So either way, let's not get ourselves to this point right now, because it looks like we're actually going to be dealing with the new events we can able to try out, and that's what appears to be the snow machine fight. And basically though, it feels like a similar premise as the forms of Dream Snowball fight on the Wii version. However, the biggest difference is this time is that we're able to actually take control of the actual vehicle itself, rather than just trying to walk on foot and trying to able to protect ourselves with the actual specific blocks from incoming snowballs. So, relatively speaking though, in this particular mission right here, we need to break a certain amount of ice blocks, and as a result, the more you try to destroy them, then obviously the best rank you can possibly try to achieve. So yeah, we only got about 10 seconds left before the actual mission itself is over. You can able to decide able to actually just utilize with normal shots, or to be more specific than that, if you want to make this process a bit quicker, there's this charge up shot. And basically though, if you're trying to charge up your shot, not only does it increase the attack power, but on top of all that stuff though, if you couldn't tell from the bottom screen for about a few seconds ago, that actually encourages you to shoot even further, which as a result though, that will make it pretty interesting, especially if you really want to try that event out on single match mode. Then obviously though you can get one of those gold medals. But here's the thing though, unlike in Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games on the 3DS, like it does have a story mode on the 3DS version of that game by the way. Basically though, is about the fact that if you try to win several of the events on the story progression, like it doesn't really matter about the fact that if you do manage to able to lose the event, I believe as a result you get yourselves a silver medal. However, if you do manage to win, obviously though you get a gold medal straight away, which unlike in this game in particular though, in order to able to get medals in this game, you have to basically try to compete in the actual main events on single match mode. But however though, on the story mode, it does not seem to be the case. So Anyway, so as you can see, we actually immediately switch over to Mario again, because if you do manage to talk to Peach as Sonic, the mission itself, as you can tell, will not trigger unless if you only switch over against with Mario, because as a result, you know what I'm saying, that Mario desperately wants to see Princess Peach, because you know, Mario and Peach are in love, obviously. So either way, so once again we are going back into Snow Machine fight. However though, we need to beat Peach for under a certain amount of time. So either way though, and let's get into it. So either way, I'm sure enough though, it's about the fact that when it comes to this particular event of Snow Machine Fight, I'm pretty sure it does have different amount of courses. Like, I do know there's one of those stages we can able to actually participate on. Like, for instance though, I think this particular stage is obviously inspired with the forms of Stage 1 variant. Like, because obviously there aren't any hazards to worry about. But I do know there's another stage where it involves around the drawbridge, which I'm sure enough that we'll pretty much get able to save that particular topic for later. But for the most part though, you don't have to necessarily try to win the event per se in this mission, because all you have to really do is just knock down Peach, and that's all you have to do here. So yeah, it doesn't really matter if you're able to actually get knocked out, such as right here. And obviously though, it's about the fact that you instantly respawn back into the actual event itself. So there we go. And every time if you do manage to knock out somebody, you can actually get one of those medals for that particular points counter. So but unfortunately though, I didn't receive any hearts, but that's just mainly because we took a bit too long on that particular mission. But that's okay, because we can able to actually get ourselves some more hearts later down the road, and I think that could be a possibility. But the fact that if we make our way to the third world, it wasn't until when it gets to the point until next weekend, by the way, because, well, straight to the point though, we might able to reach a maximum of 99 hearts until whenever we're able to get onto the third world in this particular game. So either way, so now we've basically won this mission, and now we can able to let Peach decide to join in our team. So everything else checks out there basically. And as far as I'm aware, we do need that specific another item that we can able to not only compete in one of those events in particular, but also 2 events coming up, which as a result though, yeah, we'll explain more about that if we somehow manage to continue exploring around in terms of Sparkleton. So anyways though, let's switch back to Sonic again, because obviously though, Sonic is the only one who can able to, you know, interact with the springs, because unlike Mario, he can only interact with quite a number of things, ranging from green pipes as you saw, and there's going to be some interesting ones here and there, but then again though, that particular topic can't wait though. So either way, and as you can see, we somehow immediately bump into a familiar Goomba right here. And I'm pretty sure enough though is about the fact that we do need to complete this mission, and by simply we had to go back into Snow Machine Fight for the 3rd time, and so much so we'll have to knock out everyone within a certain amount of time. And yeah, this is the stage I was on about, where basically that's when the drawbridge decides to come into play. And relatively speaking, I was about the fact that you have to specifically try to knock down everyone else, because otherwise if you let those computer players manage to able to knock anyone else out, that will not count, because it will obviously respawn. So either way, yeah, not much else I could really talk about, apart from the fact that there's actually another thing, actually, that I suppose that Silver the Hedgehog has completely forgotten to mention about this, and that's for the fact that no matter what though, we actually did manage to able to receive a brand new trailer for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, which as a result, it does manage to show off some more gameplay footage, which, despite the fact that that game is basically a port to a Wii U game, and aside from all that stuff though, there's nothing else I can really say about it, honestly. But that's just mainly because, as far as I'm aware, that I know for a fact that Silver keeps on complaining about, there's a lot of leaks and rumors out there in regards to the forms of Nintendo Switch successor, which I know for a fact it's getting old very fast. But straight to the point though is about the fact that, let's just say, it's probably best if we're able to ignore leaks and rumors for now. That's just mainly because obviously though we have to focus on, well, for the time being though actually, it's about the fact that in addition to trying to able to play this game, but as well as from that though, we can able to actually start playing through some more Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS for a while, just in case no matter what though, if we somehow manage to dare come across into leaks and rumors again, and I'm just like, Okay, I'm just gonna have to quickly shut down the laptop for about a few seconds notice, and as a result though, it's just about the fact that way we can easily forget about mentioning about the forms of leaks and rumors anymore, and relatively speaking, I was just about the fact it's getting old very fast, which as a result, it kind of reminds me like a similar vibes as the forms of back in 2020, ironically, where basically though it's about the fact that I believe Silver did tell me about this, that back in 2020, despite the fact that that year was pretty miserable for ourselves, which I've noticed because of the forms of the pandemic and stuff like that, and as far as I've definitely also heard about this, is that, well, people keep on talking about the forms of what's gonna happen for the 35th anniversary of the Super Mario Bros. Franchise, which I could imagine about the fact that it could also happen again, but this time in 2025, and also this time around though, it will be a 40th anniversary, but either way, we'll have to wait and see what happens in due time. So anyway, let's go and use Luigi right here, because we haven't used Luigi for quite some time, apart from that particular minigame as we somehow played. And as you can see, we're now on to the next dream event, which appears to be rocket ski jumping. And that is when the fact that we actually talked to this green shy guy in the first place to able to upgrade our skis. So yeah, basically for this particular dream event right here, it does look a bit slightly similar to the console version. However, the biggest difference is this time around though, it does manage to take place in a different environment. And also, as you can tell, the dream event itself looks a bit similar to the forms of how it does it on the DS version of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, believe it or not, which appears to be Dream Long Jump. Now, a reason why I say this is because obviously though, once again you go through rings, just like the forms of how it does it in Dream Long Jump in the first game. However though, you're not able to actually go through rings. Well, if you do manage to able to pull off a special move by simply trying to swipe the touchscreen up, and basically though, you can able to use that to your advantage by trying to go through several rings, and then as a result, you can able to actually gain your boost back, or in some cases, your energy. So yeah, that seems pretty cool though. However, the noticeable difference is this time around though, is only one try as opposed to 3 tries, at least what I've heard about it anyway. And in addition to that though, is about the fact that the controls in this particular dream event, as far as I'm aware, is going to be stylus the whole time. Whilst unlike in Dream Long Jump, you have to start things off with the stylus to start things off by running up and just try to jump. And you can also use the directional pad to able to fly around while trying to go through rings as much as possible. And if you try to land, or in some cases if you walk up slightly, you have to quickly rub the touchscreen to able to go for a complete stop. Well, that's not the case in rocket ski jumping this time, because as far as I'm aware though, it's about the fact that you have to able to like get the furthest distance, which I already know for the fact that it looks very similar to Dream Long Jump from the first game, like I said before, but the biggest difference is there is that it's you know, you have to use the stylus the whole way through this time. So alongside with trying to utilize with the item system as well. So but I digress. So as you can see, we're going back into Frostown again, and because of that though, we can now able to explore into the next part, which unfortunately though, that particular swamp over there just somehow blocks our progression. So it looks like we definitely need someone like Princess Peach, for instance. So, and I'm pretty sure about the fact that we have to use the microphone for this particular point. So, yeah, there might be a couple of times though where I must admit I do apologize if the commentary gets a little bit slightly awkward at times, because it wasn't until whenever we come across into microphone sections like this one, well, I'll prove it to you. Okay, that was easy. I was assuming for the fact that they'll brings us a bit of a challenge, but either way, despite I have to do occasional blows in journey forms at this particular point, but still, I have to able to try to manually try to do that. So there we go, we can now able to progress some more missions, especially for the fact that we can now able to do some more events, especially now we've actually got ourselves the actual rival gun. So that means about the fact that we can able to come across into one of those DS exclusive events at some point, which I'm sure enough though we will explain more about that in a second, because I just want to make sure we need to check on the forms of several objects here and there, including several snowmen, and oh look, there's Knuckles, which we'll meet up with him at some point. So either way though, so for now let's go and talk to this green shy guy that despite the fact that he's now going to offer us a mission. So anyway, so it looks like we're going to be doing biathlon, which for those of you probably wondering, if you're following through our Let's Play of Mario and Sonic at the Sochi 2014 Olympic Winter Games before, back in 2019, thanks to Blue and Jewel, basically though, this particular event right here will have to make you try to do not only go around the course for about approximately 3 times, but it's also about the fact that you have to do some shooting range. So, for instance though, in this mission right here, we have to shoot down all 5 of these targets, because if you run out of bullets, and as a result if you miss one of the targets, I believe you do get a penalty bar, which as a result though, that's when the button mashing thing decides to come into play. But, since I didn't get a single penalty at this point, so this means I got myself an instant, not only gold rank, but on top of all that stuff though, I also got myself not 1, but 3 hearts as well. So yeah, that was tight basically. So either way though, no issues there, especially concerning for the fact that at the very least there's no gyro sensing controls, unlike with the Wii U gamepad with the Sochi 2014, that basically though, I do remember that that's one of the only events in the game in Sochi 2014 that you have to use the Wii Motion, Wii Remote Plus, when you're trying to able to do a lot of like, well, you get the idea for this point. And occasionally though, if you get into the forms of shooting range, you have to quickly switch over to the Wii U gamepad until you're able to actually get yourselves a better perspective when it comes to likely trying to shoot these targets. So yeah, it's a bit time consuming back then. Well, no wonder why about the fact that the Wii U itself is basically a flop at the end. So either way. So yeah, as you can see, we've met up with Knuckles here, and sure enough though, he's a power type character, which to be expected because he loves punching things. So, and it looks like we're about to compete against with Knuckles in, let's just say biathlon for instance. So that could be the reason why that we somehow managed to get ourselves a rival gun to begin with. So either way though, and straight to the point though, is about the fact that yes, we got able to compete against him in biathlon for sure, because I'm sure enough though, we can definitely try to able to consider, although kind of think about it though, in terms of biathlon itself, it plays kind of similar to the forms of how it does it for cross-country. However though, the biggest difference is this time is that, obviously like I said this before, if you try to go around the track for about 3 times or so, well, in between it though, you have to do a lot of shooting range, and then as a result though, if you're done with the shooting range, we're assuming if how well you did in terms of the performance wise, then obviously though you can able to actually get not only the lack of penalty, but on top of all that stuff though, you can able to actually get not 1 but 3 sprints. So yeah, that's actually pretty cool and interesting at the same time. Although the music track remains the same as the forms of cross-country, but it's just about the fact that the track layout is different, and rather than trying to go for the entire track within 2 laps, so instead it's only 3 laps. So I guess that makes it pretty obvious because we have to go for not 1 but 2 shooting ranges. So yeah, aside from all that stuff though, this event is actually quite cool, especially concerning for the fact that at least it's very short in comparison to the Sochi 2014 one, that basically though is about the fact you have to do a lot of different control methods. Ah, dang, I missed that target, but oh well. 4 is good enough, especially that it's only like a little bit of penalty bars being increased, and that's when the button mashing decides to come into play, just like the forms of how it does it in one of those missions from cross country. So at least that's something. So, but anyway though, another thing else is what I'd like to point things out, as far as I'm aware, that obviously though, during the course of the forms within the past few days ago, that we actually got ourselves a fully announcement in terms of the forms of the very first Xbox related direct, and that's what it appears to be. Xbox Developer Direct, and I'm sure enough though it's going to be releasing at some point, probably until the 23rd of January if possible, and just around a week after Donkey Kong Country Returns HD was expected to be releasing during that period. So I'm very curious to know of specific announcements they'll try to bring in terms of the actual Xbox Developer 2025 Direct. But let's just say that particular topic can wait though, probably at some point by the end of the month in January, just before we move on to the next month in 2025, and that's what appears to be February. So yeah, I wouldn't expect April to try to get my hypes about it though, but then again though, that particular discussion can wait. But for the time being though, there's actually the exciting part I would like to point things out, and so much so, we're about to be getting not one, but two mini arcade machines based off from Sonic the Hedgehog, which yes, thanks to the funds of my retro arcade company, they somehow managed able to reveal two variants of Sonic Mini Arcade is about to be coming in two variants. So there's one which involves around 5 games comes in with it, and then there's also another variant which only contains 2 games. So in terms of the games lineup though, it may look like the fact that the 3-button multiplayer has 5 games, which we have Sonic the Hedgehog 1, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic 3D Blast, or Sonic 3D Fleeky's Island, Sonic Spinball, and finally, out of nowhere, Sonic CD, which I was like, okay, that's actually pretty cool, especially concerning for the fact that I already know for the fact that, unfortunately though, Sonic 3 and Sonic & Knuckles are not be a part of the forms of the lineup, which is probably because of the licensing issues when it comes to Michael Jackson's music involved, but I digress. Now, as far as the forms of another version, which appears to be the ones involves around the large joystick player, that only comes with 2 games, which are both Sonic the Hedgehog 1 as well as Sonic the Hedgehog 2, in some cases the most recognizable ones. So yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's about to be releasing at some point in this year in 2025, but I can't tell you for surely when though, but that's just mainly because, well, at the moment right now, they put it as a display from now on though, so I'm sure enough though, I'm very curious to know of how the actual the games actually runs in terms of emulation as far as I'm aware, but we shall see what happens in due time. So anyway, and there's also another thing else that's worth noting for actually, is that, well, kind of think about it, as far as what Silver did somehow already mention about this before, that obviously though, we're about to be receiving quite a lot of accessories, but in black color, in terms of the PlayStation 5 accessories, and as far as I'm aware, the pre-orders is about to begin, and during at some point around the exact same time as when Donkey Kong Country Returns HD was expected to be fully released. Now, as far as I'm aware, the majority of the forms of those accessories was expected to be available until the 20th of February in 2025. And so much so, the color choice they might able to go for, and that's what appears to be Midnight Black. So, yeah, we're also able to see Midnight Black DualSense Edge wireless controller, and PlayStation Portal, and Remote Player, and there's also Pulse Explorer, wireless earbuds, and Pulse Elite. So, yeah, one of those headsets in particular. So yeah, that's actually quite interesting, all things considered. Especially concerning for the fact that despite the fact that, well, you do need to still buy the cover colors when it comes to PlayStation 5 systems, usually in between the original model or the slim model, and I really don't know about the Pro version for that matter, just because, well, then again though, we have no luck trying to get ourselves the PlayStation 5 for the time being. So either way, so as you can see, we've bumped into with the forms of Metal Sonic. So either way though, and well, it looks like similar to Bowser Jr., we might have to compete against him in one of those events, which this time we have to compete against with one of those events in Dream Ski Jumping, or I keep on thinking about the Wii version, didn't I? No, so it's relatively speaking Rocket Ski Jumping. So either way though, and straight to the point, we have to beat him, and so much so we have to go even further distance away from Metal Sonic while trying to win. So Yeah, that's all I can really say about it. Again, I apologize if my commentary is a little bit awkward sometimes because, unfortunately though, my throat is actually going to get croaky at this point. But I'm still fine as it is, but it's just about the fact that there's nothing else we can really talk about from now on. Aside from the fact that I was very, excited about the box of those mini Sonic, arcade machines, what I've noticed. Although it's a shame about the fact that Sega's Sonic the Hedgehog was not added to the game's lineup either. Well, that's just mainly because, as far as I'm aware, the mini arcade machines does not have a trackball. So, oh well, no big deal, not the end of the world personally. But regardless of such though, it's about the fact that I'm very curious to know if I was going to pick that one up with 5 games in this particular arcade mini thing. So as a result though, just so I'm sure I would like to able to have Sonic CD again, but on the mini arcade machine kind of thing. So we shall wait and see what happens, and it hasn't been revealed its price tag yet either. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. So okay, something's worth noting for in terms of this event in particular, every once in a while, as soon as when the actual energy runs out, then obviously though we have to do with a bit of a nerve-wracking situation right here, where basically though is about the fact that we have to land on this specific spot. You can either decide able to land on flat icicle surfaces, or if you managed able to try to hang on to this part right here, and that does count by the way, so luckily we don't have any let's just say disqualifier moments. And unlike the forms of how it does it in Dream Long Jump from the first game, that if you dare go into the water, that will not count your results. So thankfully though, in this game in particular, if you accidentally dive into the water, basically though, the results are now count. So either way though, that's actually a massive improvement over the likes of how it does it on Dream Long Jump. Thus, not to mention though, this event goes by a lot quicker in comparison to the forms you have to go through 3 tries in terms of Dream Long Jump. I mean, that's insane, you know? But either way, so that pretty much does it for Metal Sonic right here in Rocket Ski Jumping. So either way, we're now on to the halfway point in terms of Sparkleton, just before you decide able to rescue the next Snow Spirit. So now, I suppose that particular part can be waited for later. So with that being said folks, is that we get endings up at this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games for the Nintendo DS version. Is that we're about to be continuing exploring through Sparkleton, to able to encounter some more missions and able to recruit some more allies to our team. So we shall wait and see. So I'll see you guys until tomorrow. Later fellas.